There is a ghost in the machine, but it is not the one we were promised. It does not whisper of consciousness born from silicon and light. Instead, it smells of ozone and old paper, a faint, spectral static that clings to the edges of our most advanced creations. You can feel it sometimes, late at night, when the glow of a screen is the only light in the room. You asked a question of the digital oracle, the vast predictive engine we have built to chart the future, and the answer that returns is so swift, so certain, that a deep, ancient unease stirs within you. It is the same unease a Greek merchant might have felt, clutching a pouch of silver before the veiled priestess at Delphi, waiting for a pronouncement that would shape his fate. We believe we have built something new, a cathedral of data, a god of probability. We feed it the endless ticker tape of our existence, our market trades, our weather patterns, our medical histories, our secret desires typed into search bars, and in return, it offers us visions of tomorrow. It tells us which stocks will rise, which coastlines will flood, which political movements will fester. We call this progress. We call it foresight. But what if it is merely an echo? What if, in our quest to build the ultimate predictive tool, we have only succeeded in creating the world's most sophisticated, most intricate, most convincing mirror? This is the central, haunting question of our age. Is our cutting-edge AI a window into the future? Or is it merely a reflection of the past, so flawless that we have forgotten how to look away? The answer, I fear, is not a simple binary. It is a paradox, one that unwinds not in code, but in the brittle, timeless architecture of the human soul. To understand the machine, we must first return to the cave, not to the firelit walls themselves, but to the impulse that drove our ancestors to paint them, the desire to capture, to understand, to impose a pattern upon the terrifying randomness of existence. The ancient oracles, from the Pythio inhaling her sacred fumes to the Chinese scholar casting yarrow stocks for the I Ching, were not merely fortune tellers. They were masters of pattern recognition, operating on a dataset far older and more chaotic than any terabyte. Human nature, their power did not lie in precision. Ask the Delphic oracle if you should go to war, and it might reply, if you cross the river, a great empire will be destroyed. The genius of such a statement is its ambiguity. It does not provide an answer. It forces the questioner to confront their own ambition, their own hubris. The prophecy's fulfillment depended entirely on the seeker's interpretation and subsequent action. It was a psychological tool disguised as a supernatural event. The oracle did not predict the future. It revealed the present character of the person who dared to ask. Was Croesus, the Lydian king who received that famous prophecy, fated to destroy his own empire? Or did his inherent arrogance lead him to assume the great empire was his enemy's? The oracle held up a mirror, and he saw only what he wanted to see. Consider the I Ching, the book of changes. It does not offer pronouncements, it offers archetypes. 64 hexagrams that represent the fundamental states of flux in the universe and human affairs. It speaks of perseverance, obstruction, grace, decay. It operates on the principle of synchronicity, the belief that the pattern you cast in the stocks at a given moment is meaningfully aligned with the pattern of your life. It is a system built not on linear causality, but on the cyclical, resonant nature of experience. It assumes time is not a straight line to be charted, but a spiral to be navigated. The wisdom of the I Ching is not in knowing what will happen, but in understanding how to act within the energetic current of the moment you are in. It is a map of the terrain, not a schedule of events. These ancient systems were profound because they were imprecise. They left a space for human agency, for interpretation, for wisdom. They dealt in the eternal questions, the recurring dramas of power, love, loss, and renewal that have defined us for millennia. They knew that history does not repeat, but humanity does. Now, stand in the cold, clean room. The air hums not with sacred vapors, but with the drone of cooling fans. This is the temple of the new oracle, the server farm. There are no veiled priestesses here, only racks of silent, blinking hardware. Its mechanism is not vision, but brute force. It is the ultimate expression of a different kind of faith, the belief that, if you can gather enough data about the past, you can eliminate all uncertainty about the future. The algorithmic seer operates on a single, powerful assumption that the future is an extrapolation of the past. It ingests billions of data points, the precise trajectory of every past hurricane, the exact wording of every corporate earnings call, the millisecond by millisecond fluctuations of every stock trade. It then scours this immense digital fossil record for patterns, correlations too subtle and vast for the human mind to grasp. It does not understand why a certain market indicator precedes a crash, only that it has, with a statistical significance of 98.7% for the last 50 years. It does not understand the human despair that leads to societal unrest, only that a certain combination of rising unemployment, inflation, and social media sentiment has a calculable probability of leading to riots. It is a breathtaking achievement. It can predict the path of a pandemic with terrifying accuracy, model the collapse of an ice shelf down to the decade, and tell you with unnerving confidence which ad you are most likely to click on. But here lies the critical distinction. The AI's prediction is a statement of probability, not a revelation of meaning. It presents a future that is already latent in the data of our past. It is an echo chamber of immense sophistication. It shows us our own trajectory, our own momentum, our own accumulated habits and biases, and presents them back to us as destiny. It cannot, by its very nature, account for the truly novel, the black swan event, the sudden leap of human genius, the inexplicable act of grace or madness that shatters all previous patterns. It can predict the riot, but it cannot predict the man who stands in front of the tank. Is this foresight, Or is it the most powerful form of hindsight ever conceived? So fast and comprehensive that it feels like looking forward. We are mesmerized by its precision, by the sheer volume of its knowledge. We mistake its statistical confidence for wisdom. We are becoming a civilization that trusts the model more than the reality, that adjusts our behavior to fit the prediction, thereby ensuring its fulfillment. We are, in a strange technological loop, becoming our own Croesus, marching confidently toward the future the machine has shown us, never questioning if the empire we are about to destroy is our own. Let us stage a collision. Imagine an ancient, Stoic philosopher, one who believes in the cyclical conflagration and rebirth of the universe, the ekpyrosis, sitting across from a modern climate scientist with her AI-powered models. The scientist, with quiet gravity, presents her findings. The screen glows with charts, graphs, and terrifyingly precise projections. Based on current emission rates and feedback loops, she says, our models show a 92% probability of irreversible sea level rise, displacing 500 million people by 2075. The likelihood of cascading crop failures in the global south exceeds 80%. The AI has spoken, the numbers are clean, absolute, and backed by mountains of data. It is a future written in the language of mathematics, a clear warning based on the accumulated actions of our recent past. It is a call to action, rooted in logic and evidence. The Stoic listens, his face unreadable. He does not dispute the data. He has no data. He is only a framework for the human condition when he speaks. His voice is not filled with the urgency of statistics, but with the weight of ages. The universe has always moved in cycles of creation and destruction, he might say. Fire and flood are its nature. The question is not whether the coastline recedes, but whether your character erodes with it. When the chaos comes, and it always comes, will you meet it with virtue? Will you act with justice, courage, and temperance? The heat of the sun is nothing compared to the fever of greed and fear. That is the fire that truly consumes a civilization. Tell me, does your machine predict the courage of the few who will stand to help the many? Does it model the compassion that might bloom in the face of disaster?
Who is right? It is the wrong question. They are not even speaking the same language. The scientist is providing a desperately needed warning about a specific, quantifiable crisis. The Stoic is providing a timeless technology for the soul, a way to endure any crisis. The AI predicts the storm. A philosopher teaches you how to be the unshuckable rock against which the storm breaks. The clash reveals the chasm between information and wisdom. The AI's prediction, for all its precision, can induce a state of paralysis, either a panicked, frantic action or a nihilistic despair in the face of overwhelming odds. The Stoic's worldview, while fatalistic about the grand cycles of the cosmos, places all power and responsibility squarely in the hands of the individual's moral response. One tells us what to fear. The other tells us how to live, so that we have nothing to fear. This brings us to the paradox of agency. The great terror of the ancient prophecies was that they were inescapable. Oedipus, in his very attempt to flee the prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother, runs headlong into its fulfillment. His struggle against fate becomes the very mechanism of its execution. We, in our modern enlightenment, scoff at such fatalism. We are the masters of our destiny, the architects of our future. Or are we? We are ceding our agency to a new kind of prophecy, one far more insidious because it feels like our own choice. The algorithm that suggests your next movie is not a command, but it gently sculpts your taste. The dating app that curates potential partners is not a decree, but it narrows the field of romantic possibility based on past preferences. The navigation system that dictates the optimal route is not a tyrant, but in following it, we forget how to read the landscape, how to find our own way. Each individual choice is trivial, but in aggregate, we are building a world where the path of least resistance is an algorithmically generated one. We are outsourcing our decisions, our discoveries, our serendipitous encounters to a system whose sole purpose is to give us more of what we have already consumed. It is a slow, comfortable erosion of the will. We are not running from this prophecy. We are embracing it. We are willingly stepping into the echo chamber, allowing our future to be shaped by the most predictable version of our past self. This, perhaps, is the AI's most profound and chilling prediction, one it makes not through any explicit printout, but through its very existence, that humanity, given the choice, will prefer the comfort of the predictable path over the terrifying. freedom of an unknown one. The prophecy of the machine is that we will, eventually, choose to become as predictable as it is thought, so we are left here, in the quiet of the late-night room, caught between the ghost and the echo. The screen still glows, offering its clean, probabilistic futures. The air still smells faintly of old books and forgotten dust. We have built a mirror that shows us our past with such clarity that we mistake it for a window. And we are haunted by the whispers of a different kind of knowledge, a wisdom that spoke in riddles and archetypes, that cared less for what would happen and more for who we should be when it did. The two oracles are not truly in competition. They are two halves of a fractured whole. The AI gives us the what, the data, the patterns, the warnings. The ancient wisdom gives us the why, the meaning, the context, the human response. To rely solely on the machine is to become a culture of brilliant technicians who have forgotten what we are building for. To rely solely on ancient mysticism is to float adrift on a sea of metaphor while ignoring the very real iceberg dead ahead. True foresight, then, may not be about prediction at all. Perhaps it is about perception. It is the ability to hold both the spreadsheet and the poem in your mind at once. It is the wisdom to use the AI's warning to spur action, while drawing on the philosopher's resilience to steel our souls for the struggle. It is to understand that the future is not a destination to be calculated, but a reality to be created, moment by moment. Through the choices we make, the machine can show us the shadow that is coming, but it cannot tell us what it is a shadow of. It cannot see the substance, the human heart in all its unpredictable, pattern-breaking, world-changing glory. And it cannot answer the final, most important question. As you sit there, bathed in the cool, logical light of the algorithmic oracle, you must ask it of yourself. What kind of ancestor will you be?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.